Tell this story as if you are speaking directly to one curious listener late at night. Start with a powerful hook in the first 5 seconds that creates mystery, danger, or emotional tension. Reveal information gradually, never all at once, so the listener always wants to know what happens next. Use simple but vivid language that paints clear images in the mind. Make the characters feel human by showing their fears, desires, and inner conflicts. Add short pauses, rhythm, and dramatic beats as if it's being narrated aloud. End each segment with an unanswered question, twist, or emotional pull that forces the listener to come back for more. The tone should feel intimate, cinematic, and emotionally gripping, not rushed, not flat. Make the listener feel, I can't stop listening, and I want to hear this again. History remembers him as a monster. Legends call him Dracula, but the truth is far more terrifying than the myth. Part 1. Birth of a Legend. Vlad III was not born a vampire. He was born a prince. His birthplace was Transylvania. The year was 1431. Europe was burning with fear. The Ottoman Empire was expanding. Christian kingdoms were collapsing. Wallachia stood between two worlds. It was a small land, but it held enormous strategic value. Vlad was born into violence. His father was Vlad II Dracula. The name Dracula meant dragon. It also meant devil. The Order of the Dragon was sworn to defend Christianity. Vlad grew up surrounded by betrayal. Power changed hands through blood. Boyars ruled through cruelty. Mercy was weakness. Fear was law. As a child, Vlad was taken hostage. The Ottoman court became his prison. He watched executions daily. He learned discipline through pain. He learned obedience through terror. His brother adapted. Vlad did not. Resentment grew inside him. Hatred hardened his will. When he returned to Wallachia, he was not a boy anymore. He was sharpened by captivity. He believed fear was the only language men respected. Vlad took the throne through bloodshed. Rivals were eliminated. Traitors were punished. Stability came at a price. That price was terror. Vlad's chosen method was impalement. It was slow. It was public. It was unforgettable. Bodies lined the roads. Forests of corpses warned enemies. The message was simple. Disobedience meant agony. To his people, he was justice. To his enemies, he was hell. To history, he became a monster. But monsters are not born, they are made, and Vlad was shaped by a brutal world.
The Ottoman Empire was the greatest power of the age. Its armies moved like storms. Its sultans demanded obedience. Wallachia stood directly in their path. Vlad III ruled a land too small to fight openly, but he understood fear better than force. The Ottomans demanded tribute. They demanded gold. They demanded boys for their armies. Vlad refused. That refusal was a declaration of war. In 1461, Vlad stopped paying tribute. He also stopped pretending. Ottoman envoys arrived with threats. Vlad answered with execution. He impaled them while still wearing their turbans. The message was unmistakable. The Sultan responded with an invasion. Mehmed II marched with tens of thousands of soldiers. His army had conquered Constantinople. It believed Wallachia would fall easily. They were wrong. Vlad did not meet them on open ground. He burned villages behind him. He poisoned wells. He destroyed crops. He left nothing for the enemy to use. This was scorched earth warfare. It was merciless. It was effective. At night, Vlad attacked. He dressed his men as Ottomans. Confusion spread through the camps. Tents burned. Soldiers killed each other in panic. The night attack became legend. Mehmed survived, but his army was shaken. Then they reached the capital. What they saw stopped them cold. Thousands of bodies lined a road. Men, women, children, all impaled. A forest of death stretched for miles. The smell was unbearable. Even hardened soldiers turned away. Mehmed reportedly said he could not rule a land of such horrors. Fear defeated what armies could not. The Ottomans withdrew. Vlad had won. But victory came with consequences. Europe heard the stories. Pamphlets spread across Germany. Woodcuts showed Vlad dining among corpses. Exaggeration mixed with truth. Propaganda turned him into a demon. To Christians, he was a defender. To others, he was insanity made flesh. His reputation grew darker than his deeds. Enemies weaponized his cruelty. Stories traveled faster than facts. The myth began to eclipse the man. Vlad ruled through terror, but terror isolated him. Allies became uneasy. Nobles plotted betrayal. Terror does not build loyalty forever. Eventually, Vlad was overthrown, imprisoned, forgotten, but the image remained. A prince surrounded by impaled bodies, a ruler who ruled through horror. The forest of the impaled never faded. It rooted itself in history and in legend. Vlad did not disappear after his fall. His story was reshaped. It was rewritten by enemies. It was exaggerated by fear. It was weaponized by politics. The printing press had just arrived in Europe. Stories could now travel faster than armies. German merchants were among Vlad's greatest enemies. They suffered under his strict trade laws. They lost privileges they once abused. They responded with ink instead of swords. Pamphlets flooded Central Europe. They showed Vlad as a monster. They showed him bathing in blood. They showed him feasting among impaled bodies. Some images were inspired by truth. Most were not. Violence was amplified. Context was erased. Cruelty was isolated from cause. Readers consumed horror as entertainment. Fear sold better than facts. The church also played a role. Vlad challenged corruption among clergy. He punished priests who betrayed their vows. This earned him powerful enemies. Religious writers painted him as possessed. They linked his name to the devil. The word Dracula became central. It once meant dragon. Now it meant demon. Vlad's enemies knew symbolism mattered. They connected him to darkness. They connected him to blood. They connected him to damnation. Eastern Europe preserved a different memory. In Wallachia, Vlad was remembered as justice. Folk tales spoke of order. They spoke of safety on the roads. They spoke of thieves afraid to steal. Peasants remembered peace through fear. Western Europe remembered terror without context. Two versions of Vlad emerged. One was a protector. The other was a fiend. Centuries later, a novelist found the darker image. Bram Stoker was not a historian. He was a storyteller. He discovered the name Dracula. He borrowed the reputation. He ignored the reality. The vampire was born, immortal, blood-drinking, cursed. The real Vlad vanished behind fiction. The Impaler became undead. The prince became myth. Hollywood sealed the transformation. Fangs replaced stakes. Capes replaced armor. History was buried under legend. Yet traces of truth remained. The cruelty was real. The fear was real. The context was lost.
Vlad became a mirror, a reflection of what power looks like without mercy, a warning about how stories are shaped, and a reminder that history is often written by those who survive.
Vlad returned to power briefly. The world he returned to had changed. Enemies had multiplied. Allies had vanished. Trust no longer existed. Wallachia was exhausted by war. The Ottomans had not forgotten him. Hungary no longer fully supported him. Vlad ruled a fractured land. His authority was fragile. Betrayal surrounded him. In 1476, Vlad faced his final campaign. Details of his death remain unclear. Some say he was killed in battle. Others say he was betrayed by his own men. There are accounts of assassination. There are accounts of confusion. There are no witnesses who agree. His body was reportedly decapitated. The head was sent to Constantinople. The Sultan demanded proof. The head was displayed publicly. The empire wanted certainty. Vlad was truly dead, or so they believed. His burial site is disputed. Some claim he rests at Snagov Monastery. Others believe the grave is empty. Bones do not tell stories. Silence invites myth. With Vlad gone, Wallachia fell back into instability. No ruler matched his control. Crime returned. Corruption resurfaced. Fear vanished. Order vanished with it. Generations later, the legend grew. Vampires replaced princes. Superstition replaced history. Blood replaced politics. Entertainment replaced understanding. The real Vlad did not fit simple narratives. He was not purely evil. He was not purely heroic. He was brutal. He was strategic. He was shaped by survival. His cruelty shocked modern minds, but his world demanded cruelty. The 15th century was unforgiving. Mercy invited death. Weakness invited conquest. Vlad believed fear was protection. Fear became his weapon. It also became his curse. His methods ensured obedience. They also ensured isolation. He ruled through terror, but terror does not inspire loyalty. It inspires waiting, waiting for a moment to strike. That moment eventually came. Vlad's enemies outlived him. They wrote his story. They exaggerated his violence. They erased his context. They ensured his name would be feared forever. Yet Eastern Europe remembers differently. Folk stories preserve balance. They speak of justice. They speak of safety. They speak of a ruler who punished corruption. They speak of harsh fairness. History is not a single voice. It is a chorus of contradictions. Vlad III stands at its center, neither hero nor monster alone. He was a product of war. He was a product of invasion. He was a product of betrayal. The vampire myth endures because it is simple. The truth endures because it is uncomfortable. Modern historians now re-examine his life. Documents reveal strategy. Letters reveal intelligence. Records reveal governance. The Impaler was also a statesman. The monster was also a ruler. The legend overshadows the man, but the man still exists beneath it, stripped of fangs, stripped of fantasy, left with hard choices and brutal outcomes. Vlad did not drink blood, he spilled it. He believed blood bought survival. History judged him without mercy, but history rarely shows mercy to anyone. Dracula lives forever. Vlad the man does not. Yet the truth remains buried, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to be understood. History loves monsters. They are easier to remember than men. Vlad III became immortal not because of his actions alone. He became immortal because fear makes good stories. The vampire legend simplified a complex life.
It erased politics. It erased war. It erased survival. What remained was horror. But Vlad lived in a brutal century. Empires expanded through slaughter. Borders were defended with cruelty. Mercy was a luxury few rulers could afford. Vlad chose fear as his shield. Fear protected his land. Fear also destroyed his legacy. Western Europe remembered his violence. Eastern Europe remembered his order. Both memories are true. Both are incomplete. The real tragedy is not that Vlad was cruel. The tragedy is that cruelty was necessary to rule at all. Dracula, the vampire, feeds on blood. Vlad, the man, fed on control. History blurred the line. Myth consumed reality, and the man disappeared behind the monster. Yet when the legend is stripped away, a human remains. A prince raised in captivity, a ruler forged by betrayal, a survivor shaped by invasion. He was not supernatural. He was not immortal. He was deeply human. And that truth is more unsettling than any vampire tale. Historical timeline of Vlad III, Vlad the Impaler. 1431, Vlad III is born in Transylvania. His father, Vlad II Dracula, is a member of the Order of the Dragon. 1442, Vlad and his brother Radu are taken hostage by the Ottoman Empire. He witnesses executions and learns Ottoman discipline. 1448, Vlad briefly claims the Wallachian throne for the first time. He is quickly overthrown by rival nobles. 1561, Vlad refuses to pay tribute to the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman envoys are executed. War becomes inevitable. 1562, Sultan Mehmed II invades Wallachia. Vlad launches scorched earth tactics. The night attack shocks the Ottoman army. The forest of the Impaled halts the invasion. 1562, Vlad is betrayed and imprisoned by Hungary. He spends years in captivity. Propaganda spreads across Europe during his imprisonment. 1775, Vlad is released and regains limited political support. 1776, Vlad briefly rules Wallachia for a final time. He is killed under unclear circumstances. His head is reportedly sent to Constantinople. His burial site remains disputed. 16th century, pamphlets and woodcuts depict Vlad as a monster. Fear eclipses fact. 1897, Bram Stoker publishes Dracula. The fictional vampire permanently reshapes Vlad's image. 20th century, film and popular culture cement the myth. 21st century, historians re-examine Vlad as a political ruler. The legend begins to crack. The man slowly re-emerges.
History does not ask permission before judging. It selects symbols. It simplifies lives. It turns humans into warnings. Vlad III became one of those warnings, not because he was the most cruel ruler, but because his cruelty was unforgettable. Many rulers killed more people. Few were remembered as vividly. Fear preserved his name. Silence erased others. The vampire myth succeeded because it felt true. It matched the horror people wanted to believe. It required no context. It required no explanation. It required only blood. But history is never that simple. Vlad ruled a borderland. Borderlands demand violence. They punish hesitation. They consume mercy. His choices were shaped by invasion. They were shaped by captivity. They were shaped
by betrayal. He trusted fear more than loyalty. Fear obeyed. Loyalty failed. That contradiction defines his reign. Modern morality recoils at his actions. It should. But modern comfort forgets medieval reality. Survival was never gentle. Power was never clean. Justice was never kind. Vlad did not invent cruelty. He refined it. He displayed it. He used it as policy. That made him effective. That also made him infamous. History punished him twice, first with death, then with distortion. The man vanished. The monster remained. Generations consumed the monster. Few searched for the man. Yet when examined closely, Vlad becomes smaller, not weaker, but human. A ruler making brutal calculations, a prince trying to hold a fragile line, a man convinced fear was the only language empires understood. He was wrong. Fear protects briefly. It destroys eventually. That is his true legacy. Not the stakes, not the blood, but the lesson. Power without mercy cannot endure. Legends may live forever. Men do not. Vlad III is gone. Dracula remains. And history still struggles to separate them.